سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We continue inshallah ta'ala with Kitab al-Sawm, the chapter of fasting from Sahih Imam Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us some of those who witness the month of Ramadan, to make it easy for us to, with the acts of worship and the fasting and the salat, such blessing days, and whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make witness the month of Ramadan, it's a great favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that many people, Allah knows best who's going to live till the month of Ramadan, they will be deprived from this great favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who are in the qubur, in the graves now, they would wish to come to this life to witness this khair, this goodness of this dunya, not the food and the drink and the desires, but rather the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the enjoyment of being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their head. And one of the matters of Ubudiyya before the month of Ramadan is to prepare ourselves with getting to know the rules of fasting and the etiquettes and the manners to be observed in Ramadan. It's one of the signs of ta'zeem awamirillah, that the person is exalting the orders of Allah. When something important is going to happen in your life, you don't just wake up in the morning and say, it's an important thing for me to do today. So you prepare for it. People, when there's something major in their life, they prepare for it before it happens. And it's a sign that they are concerned and they have this in their hearts. And even as one of the early generations of Islam, he said about Jum'ah, which is something that is repeated every Jum'ah, every week. He said, whoever wakes up on the day of Jum'ah in the morning and he says, what is this day? Then he lost a great reward in Jum'ah. Right? That means you have to be focused before Jum'ah that tomorrow is Jum'ah. This is a great day, that things to be observed in the day of Jum'ah. Not that all of a sudden today is Jum'ah and the person will lose a lot. The same thing, when people just all of a sudden today is Ramadan, or tomorrow is Ramadan. Right? They can miss so much. So it's important that before Ramadan, we're focused, we're preparing ourselves for the month of Ramadan, and our attention goes beyond our actions. And some people, they prepare themselves with food and drinks and all kinds of things like that. And the most important thing is to prepare ourselves spiritually and our hearts to purify it and to wait for the month of Ramadan. Just the fact that a person would have this longing for the month, this is an act of worship. Something that the heart is rewarded by just waiting, right? And this is by itself is another subject. And even the ulama, they call it Ubudiyyatul Intidar, right? The act of worship of waiting. You wait for the salah after you pray sunnah, and before the iqamah, you wait for the salah. And there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that whoever comes to the masjid and prays and he waits for the salah, لا يخرج إلى الصلاة, and then the person will be rewarded in his musalla, right? As long as he does not break his wudu or cause any harm. ما لم يؤذي فيه ما لم يحدث فيه, and the angels would say اللهم اغفر له والله مرحمه. The issue is that he's waiting, right? This waiting for the act of worship by itself is an act of worship. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who get the best of the rewards and all of that things. So there will be some rulings here, and the point of this is not to have a fiqh session, but rather to explain the book of Sahih Ibrahim Zidan rahimahullah. So regardless of the differences of opinions and things like that, we'll just talk about it inshallah ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. He says, chapter, الصوم لمن خاف على نفسه العزبة, which means fasting for the one that fears for himself when he is not married. Al-Uzbah is when a person is not married. Before he's married, he's single. A person that is not married, he should fear for himself. So fasting is a good thing for him. If he fears for himself while he's not married, fear what? Fear that he would commit a sin. The sin that is between men and women, zina and the like of it. So fasting is a prescribed cure to the desire if a person has the desire to fulfill it in a haram way. He says حدثنا عبدان عن أبي حمزة عن الأعمش عن إبراهيم عن علقمة. And this chain of narration is repeated many times in Sahih Imam Bukhari, and they're all أئمة of the deen. Right? He said قال بين أنا أمشي. He said علقمة is saying, while I was walking مع عبد الله رضي الله عنه. عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه. He was walking with عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه. فقال كنا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه, he said we were with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال من استطاع الباءة فليتزوج فإنه أغض للبصر وأحصن للفرج ومن لم يستطع فعليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء. That the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, whoever is capable to have al-ba'a. Al-ba'a literally means the ability to have relations with his wife. And it has more than this meaning. That means whoever has the capability to get married, whether it's physically or financially, whatever the means that would get him to get married, if he has the ability to get married, if he has the means to get married, فَلْيَتَزَوَّجْ. Prophet ﷺ is ordering that person, he should get married. This is the way the Prophet ﷺ. A person has the means to get married and he choose to be single, this is not a good thing. Before we continue, this can be haram for some people to stay single. It can be makruh for some people. It's definitely recommended or wajib for people also to get married. If a person is not able to protect himself from the haram, from committing sins, and he's able to get married, then it's haram for him to stay single. If he has the means to get married and he chooses not to, and as a result of being single he falls into sins, it's haram for him to stay single. If a person is struggling so much, right, and once in a while he falls and things like that, that means definitely still it's mandatory for him to get married if he has the means. If he doesn't have the means, we would see the cure in the hadith. So it depends on the person, right? And definitely in general, if a person is protecting himself and not falling into sins and so on, still marriage, it's the way of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, وَأَنَا أَتَزَوَّجُ النِّسَاء, and I marry women. When the three men came to him and one said, I would never marry women, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, and I marry women, and this is my sunnah, and whoever turned away from my sunnah, he's not from me, right? So this is from our deen. Ayat in the Quran talks about marriage and so on. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, whoever has the means to get married, then he should get married. فَإِنَّهُ أَغَضُّ لِلْبَصَرِ. Why he should get married? Everybody gets married. But for us, the intentions, the reason why a person wants to get married, فَإِنَّهُ أَغَضُّ لِلْبَصَرِ. Because it's more for him to be able to lower his gaze. It helps him to lower his gaze, otherwise he will commit a sin looking at women and so on. And the same thing for the women. وَأَحْصَنُ لِلْفَرْجِ. And more chastising to al-farj, or the private part. And this is, as the Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, half of the religion. And then he said, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ فِي النِّصْفِ الْآخَرِ. Then fear Allah in the second half. That means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy for you. The biggest fitna for men is the fitna of women, the sins that has to be, or that people fall in with regards to women, the relationships and so on. So when a person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed his favor upon to get married, then the religion is made easy for him, protecting himself from falling into haram and so on. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ. And whoever is not capable of getting married, فَعَلَيْهِ بِالصَّوْمِ. Then he should keep on fasting. That's the word فَعَلَيْهِ means. Right? Some people, they think فَعَلَيْهِ بِالصَّوْمِ means he should fast. And they think fasting Mondays and Thursdays will be enough for that person. No, فَعَلَيْهِ بِالصَّوْمِ means what? He should keep on fasting. Right? And this is the way for him to be protected. فَإِنَّهُ لَهُ وِجَاء. Because this for him, وِجَاء is something that will stop the desire in him. Not that it will stop it forever. It will stop it or will weaken it till he has the means to get in. It does not affect his health whatsoever. It's a good thing for such a person so that he does not get dragged into the sins. So somebody might say, if a person fasts a day or two, actually this increases his desire, right? So this is in the beginning. If he starts fasting, he would find that the desire is even increased. But if he continues to fast, then the effect will be there. And as you see clearly, the Prophet ﷺ did not give permission of any means of sin whatsoever. Right? This is the solution. The solution is tough, which means a person will continuously or would fast a lot, and it depends on the person. This can be even more, as the ulama they say, than the fasting of Dawood alayhi salam, because he's not fasting an optional fast anymore. He's fasting to protect himself from the haram, so he might have to fast every day, except the days of Eid or so that he protect himself from falling into the haram. And this is by itself is a lengthy subject and something that should be addressed, that our cultures and so on became so much powerful, sometimes more than our religion, that we make it so difficult for people to get married when it's the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many of us and parents and so on, they don't realize the fitan that our children are going through and the youth are going through. And we think for a person to get married, he has to be in a certain level, and the age of marriage becomes very late, and this is very devastating. The most important thing for people is to save the religion, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised, and the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the truth. He said, إِيَّكُونُوا فُقَرَاءَ يُغْنِيهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. If they are poor, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make them rich from His bounty. Meaning, as Ibn Mas'ud, the narrator of the same hadith, such a coincidence, he said, explaining this ayah, he said this is a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can a person hears this ayah and doesn't get married? Which the ayah says what? If they are poor, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make them rich. Marriage is one of the means of being rich, or not necessarily being a millionaire, but it's one of the means to increase your wealth, not the opposite as some people think. Because physically, you have other responsibilities and so on. No, it's one of the means to increase your risk, as the ayah says. So he said, who would hear this ayah and not get married? So when people think with marriage, I cannot get married because I don't have whatever standards that people are looking for, it's a problem within societies and communities that people need to change, and it takes generations actually to change such a thing, and it's a long subject. But the point is, so that we don't think too much in this, is that fasting is one of the most important cure for someone that if he is not able to get married. And of course this is not related to the obligatory fast, it talks of course about the optional fast. Then he says, بَابُ قَوْلِ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُ الْهِلَالَ فَصُومُوا وَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُ فَأَفْطِرُوا. Still the title has more. He said the chapter of the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُ الْهِلَالَ. If you see al-hilal, al-hilal is the crescent, the moon. If you see it, فَصُومُوا, then fast. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُ فَأَفْطِرُوا. And if you see it, then أَفْطِرُوا, that means break your fast at the end of the month. So the first statement in the beginning of the month, and the second statement at the end of the month. So this is what marks the beginning and the end of Ramadan, is by what? إِذَا رَأَيْتُمْ الْهِلَالِ. If you see al-hilal, if you see the moon. And this is a very direct, clear statement of the Prophet ﷺ. And he says, وَقَالَ صِلًا عَنْ عَمَّارُ بْنِ يَاسِرٍ رضي الله عنه مَنْ صَامَ يَوْمَ الشَّكِّ فَقَدْ عَصَى أَبَا الْقَاسِمِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. Ammar ibn Yasir, he said, whoever fasts the day of a shak, this is here mas'ala, a ruling with regards to Ramadan. Whoever fasts the day of doubt, he indeed had disobeyed Abu al-Qasim, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What is Yawm al-Shak? What is the day of doubt? It's the day where people were supposed to see the hilal or not, which is the next day. That means it's the 30th of Sha'ban. Right? The 29th of Sha'ban, people look for the moon, right? So if they didn't see it because there was overcast or so, right, then they would say that Sha'ban is 30 days, right? So that next day, it's the day of doubt, because it might be Ramadan, the moon might be there, but they didn't see it because of the clouds, right? Are they ordered to have airplanes to go over the skies or so? No. If they didn't see it, the matter is easy. This is deen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the deen so easy, but people make it complicated. So what they do is they make Sha'ban 30 days, but here Ammar ibn Yasir is saying whoever fasts that day that is doubtful, right, he had disobeyed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this issue, you would find there are opinions in it, right, because there are also some hadith of the Prophet alaihi wasallam. So whoever fasts this day thinking I would do it just in case, out of making sure that I won't miss a day of Ramadan, maybe it's a day of Ramadan, that's definitely not permissible to do that. There is no ihtiyat here, or to be cautious, or to be more virtuous. If a person thinks that I would fast it better for me, maybe it's Ramadan, it is not permissible. As he says, radiallahu anhu, and this is the most correct opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Unless, as it will come in the hadith, a person has the habit of fasting before Ramadan, like Mondays and Thursdays, and it happened to be Thursday or Monday, fasting every other day, and it happened to be that day, then he can fast no harm. Because he's fasting his optional fast that he's used to do, right? He's not fasting to make sure that he might miss a day or so of Ramadan. So the day of Shaykh, the 30th of Sha'ban, is not to be fast, and we will hear more hadith about this subject. Then he says, and we'll have inshallah time for the questions at the end inshallah. قال حدثنا عبد الله بن مسلمة قال حدثنا مالك بن مالك رحمه الله عن نافع عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذكر رمضان فقال, the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام mentioned Ramadan. Then he said, لا تصوموا حتى تروا الهلال. Do not fast till you see the hilal, the moon. ولا تفطروا حتى تروا. Do not break your fast at the end of the month till you see it. فإن غم عليكم فاقدروا له. فإن غم عليكم, if it's covered for you, meaning the clouds or so, you're not able to see the hilal, the moon. فاقدروا له. فاقدروا له means counted. They had meanings of what does this word mean. It means count, that means this is another day of Sha'ban, right? That means do not fast till you see it, because this is the beginning of the hadith. You do not fast till you see the hilal, right? So this is a very clear hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and we'll come to the famous every year subject with regards to the calculations. It will come by itself, inshallah ta'ala, without having to introduce it now. The issue that every year Muslims go through. So here again, this is, we learn the deen from what? From the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, right? We are followers of the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, if you see the hilal, then you fast. If you see the hilal at the end of the month, you break your fast. And if you don't see it, then the next day is Sha'ban. If you don't see it at the end, then the 30th day is Ramadan. The month cannot be 31, so it's either 29 or 30. And we'll see also the coming hadith, how is the vast mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regarding to this subject, whether it's 29 or 30. The next hadith, he says, حدثنا عبد الله بن مسلمة قال حدثنا مالك عن عبد الله بن دينار عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الشهر 29 ليلة. The month is 29 nights. The month is 29 nights. فلا تصوموا حتى تروه. The month is 29 nights, meaning this is sometimes it is and sometimes it's more. But what comes after that, do not fast it, do not fast the month till you see it, till you see the moon. What if you see the moon on the 28th night? Right? On the 28th night of Ramadan, or the 28th of Sha'ban, right? Then what do people do? If they see it on the 28th of Sha'ban, right? The month is either 29 or 30. The month cannot be 28, and cannot be 31. But what if people see the moon clearly on the 28th? What should they do? They should fast. And that means they made a mistake, or Sha'ban, right? It started earlier, right? And Sha'ban, no problem. There is no making up days or anything of that nature. But what happens at the end of the month of Ramadan, right? The night of the 28th, people see the hilal. It's valid, right? What should they do? The next day is Eid. If they see the hilal, the next day is Eid, right? If with all the different conditions of what does it mean to see the hilal and so on. If it's been observed clearly, with certainty that this is the hilal, right? Then the next day is Eid. And that means they started the month a day late. So they need to make up a day afterwards, and no sin, and no panicking, and no problem whatsoever. This is valid in the deen of Islam. Since it's already been mentioned, if it's overcast, you make it a 30th day. So that means that is likely to happen, and it happened at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. It happened at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, and the best people ever, right? None of them said, oh, subhanAllah, we made a mistake, we're misery. So the matter is easy, right? But we will see also more things. So the month is 29 days. Do not fast till you see it, meaning the hilal. فإن غم عليكم, if it's forecast, you can see it. فأكملوا العدة 30. فأكملوا العدة. Complete the iddah, the count, to be 30. So that explains the first narration, the previous one. فَأَقْدُرُوا لَا, or count 40. So that means make it 30. This is a clear statement. Complete it to 30. If you don't see the hilal, make it 30. I think the words are very clear, right? There is no ambiguity in it. There's no maybe this or maybe that. The Prophet ﷺ said it very clearly. If you don't see it, then you make it 30. Then the third hadith in the chapter makes things even more clearer. He says, حدثنا أبو الوليد قال حدثنا شعبة عن جبل بن سحيم قال سمعت ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما يقول قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, الشهر هكذا وهكذا وخنس الإبهام في الثالثة. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام said, الشهر, the month, is like this and like this. What is like this and like this? Prophet ﷺ did this to the companions. الشهر وهكذا وهكذا, right? 3 times. That means how many? 30. Or he did it like this, and then he made the small finger down. That means what? 29. So that means the month is either 30 or 29. He made it with his hands, alayhi salatu wassalam. That's what he says, وَخَنَسَ الْإِبْهَامَ فِي الثَّالِثِ. Khanas, that means he brought it down. Brought down the pinky or the small finger down in the last one. Right? So that means with even the way the Prophet ﷺ is doing it, he did that in some of the hadith, where that is very effective in learning. Right? You see it clearly, so the person stays with the person, especially that we're ummah, as it will come in the hadith, نَحْنُ أُمَّةُ الْأُمِّيِّينَ. Right? We are illiterate ummah. It's a praise to this ummah, not the opposite. Right? As we will see, inshallah ta'ala. So the Prophet ﷺ said, this is how the month is. So it cannot be 28 and it cannot be 31. Right? It's either 29 or 30. But if there was a mistake that people have to make up the day, so then they fasted either 29 or 30. The next hadith, inshallah, be patient with this ruling till the end of the hadith, inshallah ta'ala. قال حدثنا آدم قال حدثنا شعبة قال حدثنا محمد بن زياد قال سمعت أبا هريرة رضي الله عنه يقول قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, أو قال, or Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه said, قال أبو القاسم صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said the kunya, the nickname of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, Abu al-Qasim, as we said before, it's only the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام to be called this kunya, whether those who said in his life or for good. So he said, Abu al-Qasim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, صوموا لرؤيته, fast when you see it, وأفطروا لرؤيته, and break your fast at the end of the month when you see it. فإن غُبِّيَ عليكم, another word he is used. The first one was فإن غُمَّ, غير, right? That means it's not clear, covered. Here فإن غُبِّيَ, غين and bel, right? Or غُبِيَ, right? What does غُبِيَ means? You know, they call someone when he's dumb, they call him Ghabi, right? Or al-Ghabawa is dumbness, right? So what does it mean, فَإِنْ غُبِّيَ عَلَيْكُمْ? That means you could not comprehend it, like you did not see it basically, right? That you did not see the hilal, like a person is not able to see what is right and what is wrong, right? So if you're not able to see it, فَأَكْمِلُوا عِدَّةَ شَعْبَانَ 30. Then complete the count of Sha'ban for 30 days. Very clear statement with different words of the narrations. The next hadith, he says, حدثنا أبو عاصم عن ابن جريج عن يحيى بن عبد الله بن صيفي عن عكرمة بن عبد الرحمن عن أم سلمة رضي الله عنها, the wife of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم آل من نسائه شهرا. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, آل means he swore that he would not enter to his wives for a month. The famous story. The Prophet ﷺ will not approach his wives for a month. فَلَمَّا مَضَى 29 يَوْمًا, when 29 days passed, غدا أو راح فقيل له, the Prophet ﷺ went or came and it was said to him, إنك حلفت ألا تدخل شهرا. Somebody told the Prophet ﷺ on 29 days passed, he entered his homes and he came out. He swore that he would not enter for a month, right? So after 29 days he entered and he went out. So somebody said to the Prophet ﷺ, إنك حلفت ألا تدخل شهرا. You swore that you would not enter your home, your houses for a month. So the Prophet ﷺ said, إن الشهر يكون 29 يوم. He said that the shahr, the month, is 29 days. That means it can be 29 or 30. So if it's 29, it's a month. Right? It doesn't have to be 30 days. And this is a great benefit for those, for example, who's fasting expiation, for example, 2 months in a row. It doesn't have to be 60 days. It's 2 months, 2 lunar months. So it depends on how the moon is. It can be 29 and the other one is 30 or vice versa. The same hadith with a different narration. قال حدثنا عبد العزيز بن عبد الله قال حدثنا سليمان بن بلال عن حميد عن أنس رضي الله عنه قال آل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم swore that he would not enter onto his wives من نسائه وكانت انفكت رجله. And the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, his legs had a loose joint or something of that nature. فأقام في مشروبة 29 ليلة. And the Prophet ﷺ stayed in a mashruba. Mashruba is a higher level room, right, like a second floor type of thing, for 29 nights. ثم نزل, then he came down ﷺ فقالوا, they said, يا رسول الله أليت شهرا, O Messenger of Allah, you swear that it's going to be a month. فقال إن الشهر يكون 29. The month is 29 days. And by the way, just very briefly, we don't want to get into the subject. Al-Ilah is when a husband swears that he would not approach his wife. They used to do that in the Jahiliyyah. And he would leave his wife like that, not married or married. Right? And they would abuse their wives like this. She cannot be divorced and he's not with her as a husband, so they leave her like this. So the ayat of the Quran came, right, and forbidding this. And the husband will be given, if he made that swear, only the maximum is 4 months. If after that, then the qadi or the judge will enforce the divorce. Otherwise, he has to go to his wife. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he stopped away with the specific incident that he would stay for a month, then he said with regards to the 29 days. These previous hadith, basically what it means. Stating the fact he wanted to mention, to say here, that Ramadan, fasting is an obligation. We need to know what is Ramadan. Ramadan is either 29 or 30 days. And the way that Ramadan starts and ends is by seeing the Hilal. And seeing the Hilal means that we see the Hilal. Somebody would say, but now we're very sophisticated, we can make calculations and everything, and we can figure out exactly when the month starts and ends. So should we just put these hadith on the side and just go by our calculations? The answer is no, definitely no. Right? And we cannot hide this matter of deen as it will come. The next chapter, not the one after it. Right? They used to have calculations at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and that's why the statement of the Prophet ﷺ is very direct and clear. Because you know what calculations is. There was calculations at this time. As we will see, inshallah ta'ala, just be patient for one more chapter. He says that شهر عيد لا ينقصان. 2 months of Eid, they are never diminished. What does that mean? The month of Ramadan and the month of Dhul-Hijjah. They are never less. What does it mean? Ramadan, if it's 29 days, a person might think if it was 30 days, we would fast another day, more rewards. More one night of night prayer, great rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ, as we will see, comforting the believers because they're always eager to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not that they can't wait till the month is over. He's telling them that don't worry, if it's 29, it's full. It's not less. So don't feel bad if the month is 29, that you will get less reward. Although you did less one night, one day, no, your reward will be given in full, as if it's 30 days. So there's no difference between the rewards of the people, whether the month is 29 or 30. The rewards are given is in full. month of the Hijjah, since there's the Hajj there. He says, قال أبو عبد الله, meaning Al-Bukhari, رحمه الله, قال إسحاق, وإن كان ناقصا فهو تمام. Right? Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, he said, وإن كان ناقصا, even if the month is less, meaning 29, فهو تمام, that means it is complete. وقال محمد لا يجتمعان كلاهما ناقص. Like another opinion of what does that mean? It means it would never happen that these 2 months will be both 29. If one 29, the other one would have to be 30, and vice versa. Right? They cannot be both in the same year, 29 or both 30, right? It's like a sign. If Ramadan is 29, then the Hijjah will be 30 days, and so on. This is another opinion of explaining this. The hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. قال حدثنا مسدد قال حدثنا معتمر قال سمعت إسحاق بن سويد عن عبد الرحمن بن أبي بكر عن أبيه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول حدثني مسدد قال حدثنا معتمر عن خالد الحذاء قال أخبرني عبد الرحمن بن أبي بكر عن أبيه رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is 2 chain of narrations mentioned in the same hadith. قال Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام said شهران لا ينقصان, 2 months that are never diminished or less or so, or not complete. شهر عيد, 2 months of Eid, Ramadan wa Dhul Hijjah, the month of Ramadan and Dhul Hijjah. Right? That means, and this is the more correct opinion, that means it's complete in the reward. The reward is given and complete so that nobody would be worried if it's 29, that means it's less. Okay? Then the next chapter that completes the benefits that we just mentioned. He says, باب قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا نكتب ولا نحسب. The chapter, the title of it, the statement of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. He said, we do not write, we do not calculate. We do not write, we do not calculate. What does that mean? It is explained in the hadith. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, as we will see, حدثنا آدم قال حدثنا شعبة قال حدثنا الأسود بن قيس قال حدثنا سعيد بن عمرو أنه سمع ابن عمر رضي الله عنه. He heard ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال, he said, إن أمة أمية. We are indeed أمة أمية. We are a literate nation. Whether this referring to the Arab because they were a literate nation, or referring to the Ummah of Muslims, and we will see how. We are a literate Ummah. لا نكتب ولا نحسب. We don't write and we don't calculate, we don't count. الشهر هكذا وهكذا. Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, again with his 2 hands, he showed them that the month either this or this, meaning 29 or 30. Right? يعني مرة 29 ومرة 30. One time 29, sometimes 30. Right? Very direct statement of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. Is this a context that praising this ummah or the opposite? Some people think, well, that was at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Now we're not illiterate ummah, mashallah, we're very educated. No, it doesn't mean this way. This is praising the ummah. Right? In the ummah al-ummiyya, it means that this ummah, this nation of the Prophet ﷺ, the deen of Islam does not need those sophistications for people to have so that they would apply the deen and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the most easiest way. Right? Whether you are in the desert or in the jungle, or whether you are a PhD in science and physics and everything, it doesn't matter. You're all the same. Matters of worship has been made so easy for us. There is nothing in our religion that we need so much sophistications and calculations so that we can be able to worship Allah. So that nobody will say, well, I don't have this, we don't have this capacity, so the worship of Allah becomes difficult for us. Somebody will say, well, we have calculations of the timetable for the prayers and everything. Yeah, mashallah. But what if somebody doesn't have it? Would he not be able to make salah? No, the matter is so easy. Right? It doesn't matter where he's at. He can easily make the salah, Salatul Fajr and Salatul Dhuhr and Asr, because it's all measured with things that everybody can see with their own eyes. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "La naktub wa la nahsub." We don't write and we don't count or calculate. Why he's saying that in the context of the month? Because there was calculation. So he's saying this is not enough for us. For the deen, the matter is much easier than this. Right? The month is either 29 or 30. So this is not about did we hit the month right or not. Are we really in the month No, the matter is an act of worship, right? So even if people didn't see it and they didn't calculate or anything, and even if they were mistaken, it's not a mistake that it's like a sin or the Ummah committed a major mistake, and people say, see, we should have taken the calculations because now it's 28 days. We told you, no, this is the deen, this is what the deen is, right? So the matter is so easy and simple, as the Prophet ﷺ said, that that's what unites the Muslims. This is something that they've been doing for centuries. Once they started to invent the things, then you will find all these types of disunity. And this is, by the way, the issue of not using the calculations whatsoever. More than one alim had narrated the ijma' or the consensus among the early generations of Islam. Whether it's the one that narrated that, like Shaykh Qadi Iyad, he said this is consensus among the early generations of Islam, that because the hadith is very clear in this, right? So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for people to start the month and to end the month. And also to add to this, just something very brief, you see the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the month of Ramadan for people to start fasting it, the whole ummah, by the witness of one person. There is just and so on. One person. The whole community of the ummah, regardless of the matala, they would fast. But He made it so difficult for people to witness the act of zina. Right? For people, they have to witness the act itself. Right? Why this is made so difficult and the other one made so easy? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most wise. It's intended to be this way. Right? So it's not about if somebody would say for zina, for example, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. If a person would say, well, we have proof that it happened. No witnesses or anything. We have video cameras. Right? We have DNAs. We have all kinds of things. No punishment. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it difficult. It's intended that things are not spread like this. If people committed the sin and it was hidden, you're not going there to search and to find so that you get people in trouble. Right? You advise them to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if four people they get to witness it with their own eyes, then there is no way out, but the punishment has to be established. Understand this point? So the Muslim is ordered to conceal the faults of others, not to expose the faults of others. Right? So it's not about capturing a crime. Right? And the prosecutions are going after these people or the police. There is no such a thing. And even the Prophet ﷺ, when the woman committed zina and she came and she confessed, the Prophet ﷺ told her, go back till you deliver your child. She was pregnant. And he did not send any security, as we mentioned it before. Did not write her down that if she doesn't come after she delivered, he sent the police to capture her. No, just go. If she didn't come, there's nothing. And that's why even for something like this in Islamic Sharia, somebody is captured and he confessed. And just a minute before they apply the punishment, he says, I quit. I didn't do it. They leave. They cannot apply it on him. Right? But if it's four witnesses, it has to be applied. So this is made so difficult so that the evil does not spread in the community. And on the other hand, witnessing the month of Ramadan is something that is made so easy, and it's all by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not that people would miss if it's not, or this or that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. So this is a very important point that we should at least have this correct idea about it. Inshallah, we still have 5 minutes. Just one more hadith. Chapter with one more hadith. He says that لا يتقدم رمضان بصوم يوم ولا يومين. That the person should not fast before Ramadan by a day or two. A day or two before Ramadan, the person should not fast. That's what the title is. He says حدثنا مسلم بن إبراهيم قال حدثنا هشام قال حدثنا يحيى بن أبي كثير عن أبي سلمة عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said لا يتقدمن أحدكم رمضان بصوم يوم أو يومين إلا أن يكون رجل كان يصوم صوما فليصم ذلك اليوم. Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام said لا يتقدمن. يتقدم means no one should go forward. يتقدم is going forward. No one, أحدكم, none of you should go forward before Ramadan by fasting a day or two. Do not precede Ramadan by fasting a day or two just before Ramadan. except if a man, أن يكون رجل, a man كان يصوم صوما, a man, he was fasting his fasting. He was fasting his regular fasting, Mondays and Thursdays, every other day. He has his fasting that is going on, that he has the habit of fasting. فَلْيَصُمْ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ, the Prophet ﷺ said, then he should fast this day. Right? So this exception explains the statement of Ammar ibn Yasir earlier that we heard, whoever fasts the day of al-shak or the doubt, he had disobeyed the Prophet ﷺ. Right? That explains it. Who then will be disobeying the Prophet ﷺ? If a person would fast that day before Ramadan as a way to make sure that he doesn't miss anything in Ramadan or something. But if someone that has the habits of fasting, Mondays and Thursdays or every other day, whatever, and it falls into one of his days that he's supposed to fast, then he should fast it, and there's no harm, and there's no sin, even if it's right before Ramadan, by the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. And the same thing applies for, say, someone that has a day from the previous Ramadan that he didn't make up yet, or woman or so, and she has one day before Ramadan, or they didn't see the Hilal on the 29th. Right? And when Sha'ban becomes 30 days, she can fast that day, she's making up a day. She's not making sure that she would not miss anything in Ramadan. No, she's making a day from the previous Ramadan. This is absolutely fine, as the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. So before inshallah ta'ala with the questions, this is, as you see, the ibadah, the act of worship has rulings, right? So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from the believers to apply the orders of Allah the way that Allah ordered them. We should not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way we like. Worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not enough to say I want to worship Allah. No, we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to worship. When we talk about al-hawa or desire is not just in disobeying the orders of Allah. Right? Sometimes when we think of desire, that means sins. No, the desire for some people that are righteous, you can have your desire in the level of righteousness that you want to do an act of worship, or you want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's not according to what Allah wants from you. It's what you want. Right? When you have to be careful of this. Now we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, following the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and to protect ourselves from introducing things that the Prophet ﷺ didn't do and didn't say. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who know the truth and follow it, and to make us witness the month of Ramadan, and not to make it a subject of differences also. If you have any questions.